first corporate paycheck, Robyn never received any of the money.
Never believed they kept money separate in this family. Mary had to bring an accountant just to prove her contributions. Let's take a moment to reflect on what Mary shared during the most recent tell-all.
Had a conversation with Kody and Robyn and my accountant showing them, this is how I've contributed.
She described having to sit down with Kody and Robyn to prove that she was contributing money to the family. It got to the point where she had to bring in her accountant as backup to show the records.
Has there been other examples of when you've gotten less, but you've put in just the same amount as everybody else?
I can pull my financial records.
Apparently, both Kody and Robyn needed convincing. So much for the claim that the wives' finances were always kept separate and private. For years, both Kody and Robyn have insisted that each wife's relationship and finances were independent and that they didn't discuss the other wife's business. Yet here was Robyn, actively involved in a financial interrogation with Mary. Suddenly, the so-called boundaries disappeared when it was time to question someone else's contributions. The audacity of demanding that Mary provide proof of her financial support is astounding. What's even worse is that Mary felt pressured to actually comply. Meanwhile, there's never any mention of Robyn being asked to show her own contributions.
The first corporate paycheck, Robyn never received any of the money. When we bought our house, Robyn's kickback from the house went to other family.
If anyone ever asked her to produce records, there would probably be nothing to see. Kody, who has shown little loyalty to Janelle, Mary, Christine, or his children, suddenly puts on the act of financial overseer.
And just in...
With money?
Yeah.
Like we never knew what the other wives were getting money-wise. We just understood what we had, but Janelle saw it all.
He loves to claim that Janelle handed him a financial mess, but the reality seems to be that he's always found ways to divide the wives and pit them against each other, keeping everyone distracted from who's really benefiting.
And how much money Kody took and how much money Robyn took was a lot more than you were taking.
Robyn's involvement is especially striking. She's claimed not to know about the other wives' situations, yet she always seems to have inside knowledge whenever it serves her. Whether she's disputing Christine's accounts of her marriage or weighing in on financial matters, Robyn alternates between being deeply involved and completely oblivious, whichever is most convenient. And then there's Kody's complaint about still having kids to put through school and not getting help for that. The question remains, has Robyn ever contributed to the education or support of any of the original children? The other wives finished having kids before Robyn joined, adding 5 more to the family, even when they could barely afford the 13 they already had. All of this just highlights the long-standing patterns, selective involvement, shifting responsibility, and a constant struggle over who is actually contributing and who isn't. Here's the ugly truth. Kody would do anything to hide, even at his own son's funeral.
I don't know how to grieve, but I can cook. I don't know how to grieve, but I can have everybody come over.
Let's be real for a second. Nobody was genuinely upset about Kody and Robyn showing some affection at Garrison's funeral. Janelle, of all people, isn't the type to lose her mind over something so petty, especially not on such a significant day. She's spent years watching Kody act like a jerk. She's not about to waste her energy getting upset about public displays of affection.
Get this, Kody and Robyn don't just get to benefit from things that I contributed to. They don't get to keep it all.
If you want something truly disruptive, look no further than the issue of Coyote Pass and the money tied to it. That's where the real drama lies. Kody has always treated that money like his own personal stash, as if everyone else was just lucky to be invited to the party.
So nuts about this.
But there's nothing he can do. Not really. I don't
even know why I care, though. That's what's frustrating about it.
Imagine the outrage if the family finally confronted him, made it clear they knew he was trying to cheat Janelle and Mary out of their fair share, and told him it wasn't going to fly. Nothing would sting Kody more than losing out on money he believes is rightfully his. It's easy to picture the kids, especially the boys and Maddie, standing their ground. For Kody, having his authority questioned in front of Robyn would be the ultimate humiliation. In all likelihood, no one actually threw him out. He probably stormed out himself in dramatic fashion, making sure everyone noticed, then turned around and played the victim, insisting he was kicked out because of the kids' supposed gossip.
But she's like, I saw where all the money was going.
When it comes to admitting the truth about the family's finances, Kody dodges and weaves like it's an Olympic sport. He'll never come clean about his financial schemes on camera, so he falls back on the usual excuse, claiming everyone is just punishing him for loving Robyn, refusing to explain further.
There's nothing he can do.
And, of course, anytime anyone questions him about anything, even topics unrelated to Robyn, he finds a way to make it about her. How dare you punish me for loving Robyn? As if that's what anyone is actually upset about. Let's be honest. The real argument was about money. Janelle was the only beneficiary listed for Garrison, and with the Kody Pass legal drama just getting started, Kody and Robyn likely felt entitled to a piece of Garrison's assets. Janelle, as executor and sole beneficiary, meant they were left empty-handed. The kids were already angry, and grief only intensified the conflict. The idea that a minor public display of affection set everything off is laughable.
That's all. I'm a ladies' man, and having 4 wives didn't make me a ladies' man.
He did have 4 wives.
Kody's whole narrative about only loving Robyn is just a convenient rewrite of history. The truth is all there in past footage. His motives have always been tangled up in money and control, not romance. No matter how many times he tries to spin it, the facts don't change. Never believe Kody when he says he was kicked out over a kiss. The real reason is way darker.
The last time Robyn and I showed PDA with the family, we got kicked out.
You got kicked out?
Kody and Robyn being pushed out of the family for showing public displays of affection, that excuse feels way too convenient.
It's a story that just cannot be told.
Oh.
Yeah, it's just there's something so vitally detrimental to your life.
It's much more likely that something profoundly inappropriate happened that left everyone upset, especially Kelty, and that's why they've been shut out. The timing is telling. Garrison passes away, there are memorials, and somehow Kody and Robyn make the occasion about themselves. Would it surprise anyone if they behaved in a way that was completely inappropriate for the setting? Being kicked out and told not to talk about it makes much more sense if they crossed a serious line at one of the memorials.
That's just not done.
Okay. It's that traumatizing?
Until Mary and Janelle are remarried.
Kody claims he can't talk about it, which is suspicious given how much he usually shares. That would hardly be the case if this were simply about him holding hands with Robyn in public. That excuse would have come up long before. Clearly, this is about something more significant. More likely, they did something at one of Garrison's memorials. Perhaps Robyn didn't even bring her children, and it was the final straw.
I think there's a natural jealousy and dislike that they've had toward Robyn, especially Christine and Janelle. It's just a thing that happens in plural marriage.
But instead of acknowledging that, Kody paints himself and Robyn as victims of jealousy over their relationship. He has a habit of defaulting to this excuse whenever anyone is upset with him. The issue is never his own behavior. It's always that someone must be jealous of Robyn.
Did you not know how to manage it?
Of course there's jealousy. People ask all the time.
Even when someone tells him clearly that his behavior was the problem, what he hears is that they are upset because of his relationship with Robyn. Given their tendency to rewrite history to suit themselves, it wouldn't be surprising if they were told to leave for very valid reasons, then decided to spin the whole thing into a story about everyone resenting their affection for each other. Given their past behavior and the inappropriate displays they've put on even during serious occasions, it seems far more probable that they crossed a serious boundary at the memorial and were asked to leave as a result. Never assume someone's okay with unfair treatment. Mary kept the receipts for a reason.
I had this conversation with Kody where it felt like the property might be in trouble.
It's understandable why Mary is cautious around Janelle. Initially, Mary's reluctance appeared odd when Janelle reached out to her about Kody Pass. But looking at their history, the reason becomes clear. For years, Janelle witnessed Kody treating his wives unfairly with finances.
Financial security and being smart financially is really, really important.
She went along with the arrangement, rarely objecting, until she personally felt financially mistreated, such as when Kody refused to use funds to build her home. The issues surrounding the children only fueled her frustration. From Mary's perspective, It's fair to wonder why Janelle is suddenly taking a stand after years of going along with things. This explains Mary's reluctance to trust her.
So I'm gonna go talk to Mary.
Aligning with Janelle may have been the logical move at this point, but Mary's skepticism makes sense given the circumstances. Looking back at the decision for Mary and Kody to divorce so that Kody could legally marry Robyn, Janelle's concern was visible. She asked questions and seemed uneasy. Knowing Robyn's financial struggles before joining the family, Janelle likely foresaw future problems. A bookkeeper simply records what happens with money, and when it was just the original 3 wives, financial decisions were more collaborative, with Mary acting fairly. But once Robyn joined, the approach to money shifted. Property titles made it clear. Kody's name appeared on everything, effectively giving Robyn a share in all assets. The system almost guaranteed distrust.
Yeah, it's like I see it as a big F you to Kody.
Does he feel betrayed because Janelle is friends with you?
Yes, for sure.
Kody managed the family by keeping his wives off balance, playing them against one another and encouraging suspicion. Janelle was probably the least affected, but even she wasn't immune. It was widely believed that Janelle managed the family's finances until Kody and Robyn started taking more control, especially during the pandemic when Kody stopped sharing statements with Janelle. She should have immediately informed the others, but apparently she did not, at least not Mary. As a result, Mary was understandably shocked to find out that Janelle was no longer handling the finances.
The whole day has definitely been an experience.
Mary and Janelle did eventually work things out and began cooperating again, rebuilding trust. Meanwhile, it became clear that Kody and Robyn suspected Mary wasn't contributing enough financially. Mary was able to prove with documentation that she had paid her fair share. It appears she never withheld money and was likely the most generous with what she had. Early seasons of their story offered subtle hints that conflicts were exaggerated for dramatic effect. But the evidence does not support the idea that Mary ever neglected anyone financially. In the end, Janelle and Mary managed to find common ground and maintain a relationship despite everything that happened, regardless of outside perceptions or ongoing narratives about their roles in the family. Never assume Robyn is just calm at these tell-alls. She's playing a very different game.
I think Robyn and I are giving her different messages. Like, we're not on the same page on this. And Robyn's like, Mary, just hang in there, Mary.
Robyn's behavior during the tell-alls comes across as a calculated form of gray rocking, or at least what looks like her personal version of it. Clearly, she and Kody have spent some time absorbing pop psychology. In previous seasons, Robyn was far more animated, especially during the infamous moment when she brought up stretch marks and wives rejecting Kody. That led to plenty of backlash. Now she's switched tactics. Say as little as possible, give them nothing to dissect.
When I'm looking at the optics, Robyn is crying.
Robyn is Mary's advocate in our marriage.
Even Kody admitted that Robyn told him he needed to make up with Christine for the sake of their kids and grandkids, a rare moment of initiative. Other than that, Robyn comes across as someone collecting a paycheck and expending the absolute minimum effort required.
I would be great being neighbors with Janelle or Mary or even Christine, to be honest.
Her demeanor now borders on medicated rock more than gray rock, with a detached calm that seems almost pharmaceutical.
Man, just a knife in the kidneys over all these years.
Kody, on the other hand, is on the opposite end of the spectrum, dramatically lamenting his sacrifices and that notorious knife in the kidney.
Christine definitely has embraced a lot of different lifestyle, and my kids are always commenting on it.
Meanwhile, Christine sits quietly, the true expert at gray rocking, unbothered and finished with it all.
We embrace a spirit of abundance in affection, time, opportunity, peace, wealth.
Robyn's social presence is non-existent, and there's no indication she's engaged with the show anymore. The impression is clear. She's entirely checked out of the ongoing drama.
My problem is I don't want to write anything down there because I don't give a anymore.
It's all winding down now. Everyone seems over it, with nothing left to say that hasn't already been said. Here's the harsh truth nobody admits about Mary and that birth.
So the really good news is Mary's house didn't burn down. She didn't even have to actually evacuate.
While Maddie was in labor and Axel was being born, Janelle and Mary had a heartfelt conversation about Mary's absence during that time. Up to that point, Janelle and Christine had been noticeably cold towards Mary, making it clear she wasn't welcome. Christine even directly said she didn't want to invite another person into the room, worried that Maddie might feel overwhelmed and kick everyone out. The message to Mary was loud and clear. Don't come.
Things have been a challenge, and they kind of all came to a head just before Robyn closed on her house.
Despite that, Janelle later acts upset that Mary wasn't there, without ever acknowledging how Mary was made to feel unwanted. The irony is hard to miss. If Mary had stayed, she'd be accused of making the moment about herself. By leaving, she's blamed for not being supportive. There was never a way for Mary to win in this situation.
Come on, Maddie.
Stand right there. That's the way.
Meanwhile, all the other parents and people involved managed to make the birth about themselves. Caleb didn't want to call anyone out for fear of looking like the bad guy. The original plan was just Janelle and the midwife in the room, but Christine, Robyn, and even Kody inserted themselves anyway and waited to be kicked out.
Because we don't want to keep you here and stress you out with the baby.
Christine at one point admitted she was only trying to stay quiet so she wouldn't be asked to leave, while Robyn told Mary afterwards she had thought about calling her. The awkwardness was obvious to everyone, including Caleb.
Well, Christine's picking me up.
Okay.
If she hasn't picked him up, oh my land.
Yeah.
Mary, for her part, had her own commitments that day, including picking Leon up from the airport and working, but was still relying on the family to communicate when it was time for her to come in and offer support. Instead, she was excluded and treated like she didn't exist. Even when she checked in and found things quiet, she did the respectful thing and left, waiting to be contacted. Afterwards, everyone scrambled to justify not calling or including Mary by blaming her or suggesting she would have made others uncomfortable. In reality, Mary did exactly what was expected of her, but the narrative quickly shifted to make her the problem.
I actually really truly wished I could fly myself, like my wings. Like I wish I had wings because I was so frustrated. I couldn't get there.
In the end, Mary was put in an impossible position, criticized for leaving when she was unwelcome, and certain to be criticized if she had stayed. The others banded together to make her feel like she'd done something wrong, when in fact they were the ones who acted unfairly. Never trust someone who claims they're not open to criticism. They're telling you exactly who they are.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Kody's counseling session with Mary in season 14 really stands out as a prime example of his surprising behavior. When he bluntly states, "I'm not open to criticism," it's astonishing, not just to those watching, but to the therapist herself. She immediately responds with, "Are you serious?" and makes it clear that she won't be letting him off the hook.
In this relationship, it's gotten to the point where I am just done with hearing how I am wrong.
This is textbook narcissistic behavior, refusing to accept any fault and shutting down any chance for honest discussion.
Because Sedona was where I understood how little I matter.
Meanwhile, Mary sits there, obviously dealing with the effects of long-term emotional manipulation and control. It's painful to witness how long it took for her to recognize the situation and make her decision to leave.
But I don't think that I'm up for any criticism.
Are you serious?
If someone comes to therapy and says they're not open to criticism or being told they're wrong, it signals that they aren't willing to do the necessary work or take responsibility for their actions. Therapy only works if both people are willing to participate honestly.
I'm not stepping into this to sit there and be ridiculed again.
Kody's expectation was clear. He wanted the therapist to side with him and focus on fixing Mary, as if the goal was to make her a better wife for his benefit. The session wasn't about self-reflection or genuine growth for him. It was about maintaining control.
Something has triggered me because I am angry.
He approached therapy as a tool to further his own agenda, even picking up therapeutic language he could later use manipulatively. This moment also demonstrates how unscripted and authentic the situation was. No one seeking to manage their public image would willingly come across so poorly.
I feel like I was deceived into a relationship that was very different than what I expected.
Kody's refusal to engage or take accountability wasn't an act. It was an unfiltered display of his true character. Thanks for hanging out with me here on Reality Nexus X. If this breakdown hit home, go ahead and tap like. Let's get to 1,000, yeah? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Elena. Bye for now.